In a snowy grocery store at closing, a tired bagger quietly pays for a stranger's baby formula when her card declines, risking a write-up and using money he needs for his electric bill. The moment changes the room, and small ripples follow. Gloves appear in his locker, a donation jar shows up at customer service, and even the rigid manager softens. The story explores hidden burdens and how one costly act can shift a day's weather without grand speeches. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The fans in the dairy case never shut up. They were a steady hiss under the beep of scanners and the squeak of cartwheels. He worked in that hum, tying off a trash bag, picking up a grape that had rolled under the gum rack, keeping the belt wiped down. He wore a green apron that used to be new. The logo had a wrinkle where the stitch pulled. His gloves had silver tape on the fingertips. He wasn't cold. He just liked something between his skin and the work. He was the bagger, the one most people looked through as they talked about dinner. He watched hands, not faces. He could tell a bad day, by the way. A person set down a loaf of bread. He stacked eggs on top of soft things. He put soap away from fruit like it was a rule of nature. He moved with a small limp no one asked about. When nobody was in his line, he wiped the belt again. It gave him something to do with quiet. He counted the buses in his head. Last northbound was 10:22. Missed that, and it was a long walk over the bridge with ice on the rail. He didn't mind the walk if his shoes stayed dry. They almost never did. The manager's clipboard tapped the register like a metronome. The manager was younger than his kids. Fresh haircut, red polo that fit tight in the shoulders. He had a list, and it made him tall. "Faster on 6, he said without looking. "And use 2 bags on the cans, please. We're getting complaints about broken handles." "Got it," the bagger said, because that was always the right answer. He doubled the angle of his hands as he fitted one bag inside the next. He wasn't slow. He was careful. He knew how to make sure a watermelon didn't roll. People remembered that part when they got home. He cleaned up a spill on 5. Grape soda had blown a gush when someone opened it wrong. Purple dots went everywhere, even under the candy bars. He bent and wiped and wrung the rag. A customer said, "You missed a spot," like it was a joke, and kept walking. Outside, wet flakes smeared the parking lot lights. The automatic doors breathed cold. Salt dusted the floor near the mat. The store playlist looped an old song he hadn't heard since his kids were little. He almost hummed, then didn't. The woman in the blue knit hat reached the belt with a crying baby. The baby was wrapped in a yellow onesie with brown bears. The onesie was too thin for this weather. The woman had a diaper bag strapped across her chest and a list on her phone. She set down a can of formula, a small pack of diapers, a jar of baby food, bread, bananas, with the stickers half missing. Her knuckles were red around the handle of the car seat. The bagger could tell when crying was hungry. He had fed kids at 2 a.m. once. He didn't forget that sound. The cashier shot him a look across the lane. "We got this," and started to scan. Beep, beep. The baby hiccuped and then cried again, a higher note. Her card beeped, flat and mean. The cashier stopped moving for a second. The sound got inside heads in a way you couldn't ignore. "Do you want to try it again?" the cashier said. Soft voice. Kind eyes. The woman nodded. She held the card with 2 hands like it was more likely to work if she did. Beep. The same flat tone. The screen said DE climbed in white on red. "You can call it in," the manager said, from somewhere with his clipboard. He was trying to keep his voice neutral and not quite getting there. "Or take something off. We close in 15:00. The woman swallowed. She pushed the bread back toward herself. Then she moved the bananas. Her face didn't change. Her hand trembled a little. She looked at the formula and didn't touch it. Someone in line sighed. Someone else checked a watch. A teen with headphones rolled his eyes like hunger was an inconvenience. The bagger didn't look at anybody. He looked at the baby. The baby's cry was breaking up, like he was running out of steam. He could feel the bus time in his bones, like a clock he hadn't set. He said low, "I've got it." He didn't say, "I used to be a machinist." He didn't say, "It's fine." He didn't say anything else. The cashier looked at him. Her eyebrows went up, just enough for a question. The manager opened his mouth to say something about rules. The bagger's hand was already in his pocket. He pulled out a wallet that had been his since a county fair 15 years back. The leather had gone soft and dark around the corners. He took out his card and slid it across to the cashier. Separate transaction, the cashier said. Quick, for the formula and the diapers. She did it right so no rule could chew them apart later. She scanned. The screen flashed a number that made his stomach jump. She didn't look at him when she hit total. He was glad. He put his thumb over the strip of his card and tapped in his PIN. He didn't look at the number again. He didn't want to see the little icons in his bank app. He had memorized what he had left, because sometimes phones died at the wrong time. Thank you, the woman in the blue hat said. She said it like the words were heavy. She didn't try to hand back the bread. She didn't offer cash. She didn't have. She just slid the formula to the end, like she was trying not to shake. The baby went quiet, like babies sometimes do when something is finally about to happen. Something in the air went still. The guy with headphones took them off. The teen acting board stood up straighter. The manager went quiet and the clipboard didn't tap. Even the fans seemed different, like they shifted to a softer note. The cashier handed him his card back, like it was a fragile thing. He put it away and went to bag, like this was what he did, hands doing their work without fuss. He put the formula on top, then the diapers. He double-bagged without being asked. He turned the bag so the handle didn't hit the baby's face as the woman lifted it. She didn't say anything else. He didn't either. He moved on to the next cart. He put soup with soup. He made sure the bread came home as bread. He thought about the bus. Then he let go of it. He figured his shoes were going to be wet tonight anyway. On his 10, he sat on a milk crate by the back door. The alley smelled like cold grease and faint lemons. His breath came out white. Snow stuck to the back steps like salt from a shaker. He took out his phone and cupped it in his hand to block the wind. The screen glowed big in the dark. There was a text from the electric company. Final notice. An amount he didn't like. The due date was tonight. He had known that. He stared at it, thumb hovering. He had planned to split it and pay the rest Friday. Plans moved when life did. He opened his bank app. The number there wasn't quite enough now. He took a breath. He sent what he had left that wouldn't bounce his rent. The screen thought about it, then said, "Thank you for your payment." A text from his daughter sat above that earlier. "You still up? It's snowing here." The picture she sent after that was of his grandson in a silly hat shaped like a shark. The kid had 2 teeth and all the light in the world. He wrote back now. "Cute. Stay warm." He started to write, "I might be late on the bus pass this month." He erased it. He sent a snowflake emoji instead. It felt dumb. He hit send anyway. He blew into his hands. He could feel a little ache start up in his ankle, the one that had never healed right after that fall on the loading dock 2 jobs ago. He flexed his foot slow. He stood when his 10 was done. He went back in and pulled a stack of busted boxes into the baler. He made a neat cube. He wiped his belt when no one was in his line. The night crept on. The kids in hoodies came for microwave burritos and fountain drinks they called pop. A man in a work jacket bought oranges and a single beer and looked like he wished the beer tasted like something else. He bagged until the lights blinked their warning for closing. He stacked carts together smooth so the lines would look straight in the morning. He missed the 10:22 bus by 3 minutes, but standing there watching its taillights pull off, he didn't feel panic. He felt tired and fine. Snow sifted and caught in the brim of his cap. He pulled his jacket zip up under his chin and started to walk. He slept like people who worked on their feet sleep, hard until he wasn't. His apartment was 1 room and quiet. The heat banged twice against the pipes, like it was mad at being asked to wake up. He set his boots by the vent. He put his wallet on the fridge so he wouldn't forget it. The cart kid showed up early the next day with fresh gloves. He wore a hoodie under a safety vest, and a look like he had seen something. He found the bagger in the back, breaking up boxes, and set the gloves on top of the baler like it was part of the job. "They were on clearance by the bait tanks," the kid muttered. "My hands sweat. I can't use 'em." He left before anyone could say thank you. By afternoon, a note was taped near the time clock. Customer called to say, "Thank you to bagger with the cap on resistor 6. The store manager had put a smiley face next to it. The bagger didn't know which customer that was. He punched in and out the same as always. But when he walked by the cereal, a woman stopped him and said, "I saw last night," and then didn't know what to do with her hands. He nodded once. He didn't make it a thing. He still had to stock the bran flakes. He found a pair of wool socks in his locker with a sticky note that said, "These run big," from nobody. He guessed the manager, because who else had a key? He did not look at the manager any different. He didn't have to. The blue hat came back near dusk. No baby this time. Her hair was down, damp from melted snow. She had a folded note in her hand and a small bag. She hovered by his lane until there was a break in the line. "I can't pay you back now," she said, eyes on the belt. "I know that's not how it works, but—" She slid the note to him. Inside was a crayon drawing of a yellow circle with brown scribbles that might be bears. Under it, in grown-up handwriting, it said, "We made it through the night. Thank you." The bag had 2 coupons, $5 off formula, and a third for diapers. "Maybe you can use these yourself or someone you know," she said. He didn't say he knew no babies in his life now unless he took the bus south for an hour. He didn't say he would tape the drawing inside his cabinet door next to a magnet that had held up nothing for years. He looked at her and gave the smallest smile he had. "You're fine," he said. He meant more than those words, but that was enough. By Saturday, a jar showed up at the customer service desk with a handwritten sign. "For when that beep is mean, people put singles in without making a big deal." A man who came in every Wednesday for deli meat tucked $1.20 under a dog-eared flyer for the Girl Scout cookies. The cashier with the nose ring kept her hand over the jar when she needed to laugh. The manager didn't move it. The bagger kept bagging. He still had a limp. He still fixed his glove with tape. He still took his 10 on the milk crate. He paid the rest of the electric bill Friday and it left him tight, but the heat didn't go off and that counted. The blue hat woman smiled when she saw him and grabbed a second banana. On his way home one night, he saw the cart kid jogging along the row of carts, cheeks red from cold, pushing them like a train. He crossed and put a hand on the back of the stack. He walked the last bit with the kid, metal rattling and snow underfoot. The kid didn't say thank you. He didn't have to. You knew when someone had your back, 'cause you could feel it like weightlifting. Sunday, he saw the manager carry a bag of groceries out to a car with a bumper held on by hope and zip ties. No clipboard. No uniform voice, just a guy carrying a bag. He didn't comment. He didn't need a parade. He found himself noticing small things after that. The way the woman who stocked produce tucked a bruised apple behind the good ones so the display looked full. The way the cashier would hit the void key fast when a price rang wrong instead of making a customer wait. People were trying in little ways all the time. He had just been busy washing them out of his mind at the end of each shift. It didn't make the hard stuff go away. Rent still crawled up. Ankles still hurt when cold sank in. The world still peeped mean sometimes. But the night he paid for formula, a baby went quiet and a room of strangers did too. It changed the angle of the day. It took a sharp edge off a place and left something still enough that a person could breathe for a beat. He walked home, after close, slow on the ice. He had a paper cup of coffee cooling in his hand and a stale muffin in his pocket somebody had set aside. He cut through the back lot where the snow was less churned. Streetlights threw down cones that turned the flakes into tiny falling stars. He stopped at the curb and looked down the street. Houses had that winter glow people give to windows when they pull curtains almost closed. He thought about the shark hat on a kid far south and the picture he would tape tonight. He thought about the jar at the desk. He didn't think in big words. He didn't need to. He stepped off the curb. Snow crunched under his boot. His breath came white and then disappeared. A bus hissed at the corner and someone laughed under a hood. He went toward the laugh. He kept his cap low. He kept his hands warm around the coffee. The streetlight hummed, and the flakes kept falling, soft as dust, bright as anything.